Okay. So if I'm not audible or any, let me just put it in the chat. If any issue is there, let me know in the chat. I will keep a close watch on the chat. Okay. So in this unit, we are trying to understand what are the fluctuating stresses. uh, we know, first couple of units we spent time on understanding what are the normal stresses and how to work on or how to design shaft and smaller different elements. So yeah, in this unit we will try to understand what are the fluctuating, and we have gone through few things. Let me just type a message. I put a message. If I'm not audible, let me know. So we have gone through, first of all, we try to understand what is stress concentration, how that happens. We took a example numerical last lecture, so to just have a grasp on idea of the stress concentration. And then in the last lecture we have gone through what is fatigue, how the fatigue. I gave you example to break a wire. If we try to break it with the normal forces, tensile forces, it will take a lot of effort. But if you move it up, if you bend it and again make it straight and again bend it, if you do keep doing, it will fail much earlier. And that this phenomenon, this happens because of the fatigue. So this was the example I took, because different fibers in that particular wire, those undergoes tension and compression. And because of the a continuous under tension and compression, the strength is reduced and it will fail much earlier because of the fatigue. This thing is called fatigue. And also I have given an example of, like, we'll take a now detailed example of what is endurance, and how to find that out. But before that, let's understand what is stress cycle. Now, this whatever example we have taken example of a bar which is rotating, which is under load, right? So, or any, like, if any element is under stress, so is the and but it is a fluctuating stress. It is not a constant stress. If it is a constant stress, then we can find out sigma by simply load upon area. But if the load is varying, the stress is varying, then and it is a cyclic stress, like it is shown in this example. It's called stress cycle. So it is going to some maximum stress, and again it is coming to zero. It is again going to minimum. Minimum means it is a opposite direction stress, maybe. So something like that. If something like that happens, or maybe it is on the positive, like it is going from 10 stress of 10 Newton per mm square to 20. So maximum is 20, minimum is 10. So average will be 15. So if you have a cycle like that, the load is changing like this, then it is called as a stress cycle. It is going from a maximum to minimum, and with some cyclic kind of version, right? So with this, as I said, I took example of maximum 20, minimum 10. Then your average becomes 20 plus 10 by 2 is 15. So sigma average is mean. Sigma mean is 15 Newton per mm square, right? And what is the difference? Now the difference is 20 minus 10 is 10. So maximum for movement from minimum to maximum is 10 Newton per mm square. And if I want what is the amplitude, means from the mean how much it is going up, so it is basically 10 by 2, so it is 5. So my average is 15, and it is going 5 up and 5 below. So from 15, 5 up means 20, and 15 below, 5 below means 10. So it is my average is or mean is 15 and amplitude is 5. What does it tells us is that we, from this we will get to know what are the mean and max. So we can, if we know mean and max, we can convert it to average and amplitude. And if we know average amplitude, we can convert to mean and max. Okay. So again I will repeat the same thing. Maximum and minimum difference of those, and divided by 2 will give you the amplitude, right? Sigma variable, right? And average of these two will give you the mean. So if we know the mean and the amplitude, then we can find out the max and mean, right? So this is called stress cycle. Now sometimes what happens is that, now, so there are three types of different stresses. One is fluctuating, one are repeated, and one is reverse. Now actually these are the same thing. Means these are all fluctuating, what is it, cyclic changes, right? In the stresses. But in the fluctuating stresses, minimum is not zero, right? Or average is not zero. So the example I took, it was a fluctuating stress. It is going from 10 to 20, with average of 15 and amplitude of 5. But now if I say it goes from 20 to 0, okay, so maximum is 20, minimum is 0. So my average becomes 10 and my amplitude becomes 10. So this thing is called as repeated stress. It is going from 0 to 20, again 0 to 20, again 0. So like say if you go to a floor, mirchi kandap, like where they will make spices. There we will be having a load which is fluctuating, which is repeated stresses. Means we will be having a hammering action of say 20 Newton per mm square. Again it will become 0. Again like 20 Newton per mm square. So like that. So these are called repeated stresses. Means where the minimum is 0, minimum stress, those stresses are called as repeated stresses. Means it is going from 0 to max, 0 to max, 0 to max. Here average is max by 2 because minimum is 0, right? And amplitude is max by half. Okay, so these are called repeated stresses. Now, if average of max and mean is 0, then these are called reverse stresses. Means the stress is changing in the direction. It is positive, but it's becoming 0 and it's becoming negative. So if the stresses are like that, then these stresses are called reversed stresses, right? Because here the direction of the stress is getting completely reversed. Now here max and mean are equal, but they are opposite in sign. So obviously average will become 0. So sigma mean or sigma average is 0 because max and mean are same but opposite in direction. And amplitude is what? Now amplitude is sigma max, right? Plus sigma, what you can say, minus sigma mean is, it becomes twice upon 2. So it is sigma mean or sigma max. Any of that you can take as an amplitude. Okay, so these cycles, these stress cycles are called as reverse stresses. Okay, so basically all these are same. Only thing is that depending on the situation, like the example I took, a bar which is rotating under load, it was going under reverse stresses because of one fiber in it, it was going under tension, again 0, again compression, again 0, again. So like that. So it was the case of reverse stresses. Okay. So you should know these stress cycles. Now using this stress cycle, we will try to understand what is endurance. Okay. So this is a specimen I have taken. This is the example how this endurance test is done. Now what is endurance? It is defined as a maximum amplitude. Now we are slowly moving to the next unit, next topic. So first we have a background of now what is fatigue, how fatigue failure or why fatigue failure happens because of the continuous changes in the stresses, right? Then we'll also know what are different stress cycles. Now we will try to go through what is endurance. Now first we should know what is endurance limit, right? It is defined as maximum amplitude of completely reverse stresses that the standard specimen can sustain for unlimited number of cycles without fatigue failure. Now, first we need to understand each and every word of this definition one by one. The end it ends with without fatigue failure means whatever we saw here, this fatigue failure. So our specimen should not go under that failure. Now, why it will go under that failure? Because why I have shown you this. Now, this is the example we took. It is a bar. So point A1, it was zero stress. Then after 1/4 rotation or 90-degree rotation, it became under compression. After again 90-degree rotation, it was again neutral axis. And after one more 90-degree rotation, it was again in a tensile maximum stress. And after one more complete one rotation, it will again come on the neutral axis. So this fiber, this point A1 will undergo 0, minus, again 0, again plus, again 0. So it will undergo this cycle. Okay, so this is a cycle. This is reverse cycle. So this specimen will completely undergo under reverse stresses. So stress is changing from positive to negative, and in between it is going through 0. So now if a specimen is under such a situation that it is continuously undergoing reverse stresses, right? So it is somewhere we have seen here reverse stress. So our specimen is undergoing completely reverse stresses means complete positive, same equal and opposite negative. So with that, with the reverse stresses, our specimen should sustain for unlimited number of cycles. Here unlimited means 10 raised to 6 means 10 lakh, 1 million. Because unlimited, we cannot wait for the specimen to fail, for its unlimited life. Here, what we do, it should go for 1 million cycles. Means it should rotate for 1 million times. That we take as an unlimited number. So what we are trying to say is that if a specimen undergoes 10 lakh revolutions without fatigue failure, for that, what is the maximum amplitude? That is called as endurance limit. Are you getting it? Okay. Anybody has any doubt, you can ask me in the chat. But you know what I'm trying to explain here is endurance limit. It is the amplitude, right, of the element. Amplitude means how much it can vibrate, how much it can go up and down, right? It is amplitude of that element which is under reverse stress. So it is basically under reverse, it is having some load, and because of that load it is undergoing reverse stress, positive, negative. And it will run for unlimited number of cycles, right, without fatigue failure, right? So take an example of, now first of all I try to understand why it will fail because of fatigue failure. Now consider, or as a, see, this is a bar, okay. Bar is shown in a blue color, okay. Bearings are in a green color and table is shown in green color, and red is basically your shaft and which is rotating. Now this specimen, if I put a load on that specimen, that means that specimen will undergo, it will have some kind of amplitude. So it will not be simple normal stress. It will be the specimen will undergo reverse stresses. Now, just to imagine, see, they have, you have taken a very good example. I have found this image on the net. So just take an example of this swan. Okay. Now what is happening is that the swan is what you can say, trying to rotate its neck. Okay, so you can also try it. Try to rotate your neck on left and right hand side. Okay, try to rotate it. It is easy, right? So it's a normal rotation. Okay, try to rotate your neck on left and right. Okay, and then also at the same time try to bend it. Okay, try to bend your while you are doing it, try to bend it. What will happen? You will might, you will feel very high pain, because of the, and this thing is called as fatigue. This is a basically a rotation while bending, means you are bent and you are trying to rotate it. So same thing happen with the bar. It is rotating and it is under bending, or it is under bending and it will, you will try to rotate it. So if your neck is in a is motion and you bend it, or it is in a bending position and you try to rotate it, it will have a fatigue, because one side will be on your neck, one side will be under tension, other side will be under compression, there will be neutral axis somewhere, and your muscles which are under tension, they will cramp and you might feel the fatigue. Are you getting the point? So what is happening here is that this bar, it is under bending, so it is have a small curvature or deflection. What is bending? Small curvature, and with that you are trying to rotate it. So what will happen? Because of the rotation, this specimen will undergo this cycle. Okay, it will, each and every fiber will undergo tension except the neutral axis, that is the center of your bar. All other points will undergo reverse cycle, positive, negative, and then they will fail somewhere because of this bending and rotation. Combination of these two, it will fail under fatigue failure, right? So if your specimen goes for rotations of 10 raised to 6, that is 10 lakh, then you can say that amplitude is okay. Okay, so I will again repeat. Now, what is endurance limit? It is amplitude at which your specimen will go for unlimited number of cycles, right? Now, what will you do? You will take a specimen, you will give it some load. How this fatigue test is done? Okay, you will take the specimen, give it some load, so it will undergo, obviously, it will undergo deflection, right? If you put a load on it, right, it will undergo deflection. Now try to rotate it for 10 lakhs times. If it fails, then that means at that amplitude your particular element is not, that is not the endurance limit. So you will go on reducing your load until it will go for infinite life, right? Or opposite, if you put a load and it doesn't fail for 10 lakh cycle, then you will increase the load. Like that, at that point, or at the load at which it will fail to go for infinite life, or 10 days to 6 cycles life, that load, and at that load the amplitude of your specimen is called as endurance limit. Are you getting it? Are you guys following me? It's a little bit what you can say, not complicated, but difficult to understand concept. So you guys are with me? Is there anyone who is listening to me? I'm not getting
Yes,
any. Okay, just if someone respond to me in the chat that you guys are at least listening to me. Okay, so okay, Ruturaj and all those. Okay, so you guys are able to follow me. If you have any kind of doubt now, please put that in a chat, or you can unmute yourself and you can ask me. Okay, so the concept is that you will put your specimen under load, and because of the load, now see, you take a bar, you try to hang yourself at the center of the bar, it will bend, right? So once it is in a bending position, that means it is having a deflection and it is having an amplitude, right? For that amplitude, now you will try to rotate it, and if it goes for infinite light, that means your specimen is okay for that particular load. So like that, you will be increasing or decreasing the load and finding out the limit at which amplitude this your specimen goes for infinite life, infinite cycle. That thing is called as endurance limit. I think you got the picture of, or the idea of the what is endurance limit, right? Now we slowly move forward. Okay. What is fatigue? It is defined as the number of stress cycle that a standard specimen can complete during the test before the appearance of the. Now this is fatigue cycle. Fatigue life means what? The life before the fatigue occurs, or the fatigue crack appears, right? So if your specimen goes for say 10,000 cycle, then your 10,000 is the your what you can see, your specimen's fatigue life means for how many cycle it goes without failing with the crack, that thing is called as fatigue life. Okay, so now to each and every specimen, or to test it, we take this is a standard dimensions we take for a specimen. you know the curvature of your specimen, it is like that curvature will be 25 to 50 times of r, right? This length we take 85, 77.5 will be the diameter at the center. So this is a specimen. This is how the testing is done. This is loading arrangement. Now this is a specimen. We will be at the end of this specimen. Will be putting load, right? This is the same whatever I have shown here. It is basically same diagram, and we will try to with a motor. We will try to rotate the specimen, and we will try to make sure that your specimen is rotating for 10 lakh or 10 raised to 6 cycles. If it survives, then your specimen is good for that load. Okay, so this is how the this endurance limit testing is done. Okay, so this is that actually we have already took an example of how the stresses will be there. Sigma c is compression, sigma t is tension, and your fiber, each and every fiber will undergo this kind of cycle. Maximum stress will be at the extreme fibers, right? So they will be under maximum. Now, what we will do, now we will try to plot a graph of Sn. S means stress, N means number of cycles. If we plot a graph of S and N, this graph is called as Sn curve. Okay. Now, how to plot it, or how we will see? This is how it will look like. This is Sn curve for steel. So now see, because the number of cycles are very high, so we cannot put 10 lakh. If we put a normal graph, then it will be very difficult to plot it. So what we do, we take a log of both, log to the base 10 for both stress as well as number of cycles. So with that, now it becomes very easy. So here 3, 4, 5, 6. Just try to take a look at this graph and try to understand it. Now here 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are the number of cycle, but those are not 3, 4, 5 cycle. This 10 days to 3. This is because log, right? So log of 1000 is 3, right? So basically, what is 1000? 1000 is 10 to the power 3. So log to the base 10 of 10 to the power 3 becomes 3. Similarly, 10 to the power 4 becomes 4. I think you guys know about log, right? So here 3 means 1000, 4 means 10,000, 5 means 1 lakh, 6 means 1 million, basically 10 lakh. Are you getting me? Are you guys with me? So basically on the x-axis, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the number of cycles which starts with 1000, because below 1000 we don't want that. We want your element to survive more than 1000. So we start with 1000, 10 raised to 3. Then 10 raised to 4 is basically 10,000 cycles. Then 1 lakh cycle, 10 lakh cycle, 1 crore cycle, then 10 crore cycle. So once it goes beyond this point 6, That means we can say the our element is going for infinite life. Okay. On one and y-axis we plot stress S. That is S. It means, see now here SF we plot whatever stress it was able to. Now how this graph is plotted? We take an example of now. This is the specimen. Now this is your arrangement of finding the endurance limit. Now we put some load. We know what are the stresses in the specimen, and we will rotate it. Now if for that particular load, if it fail, at say 10 days to 2, so it will be somewhere plotted here. If it fails for say after say 20,000, so it will become here, like 20,000 means between 3 and 4, it will be somewhere here. So this is where you are. So this, for this trace, the number of rotations it took to fail was 20,000. Now say you reduce the load. Now you want to find the endurance limit. That means you should reduce the load to increase the number of life cycles. Are you getting my point? Again, I will repeat. Your specimen failed, which you put some load on it, right? Basically, you put some stress on it, and it failed at 20,000 cycles. Now I want to find its infinite life. That means its endurance limit. That means what? I need to find the cycle of 10 lakhs with the what stress it will go for infinite life. That is 10 to 6 cycles, right? So that means what? I want to have more cycle. That means I should reduce the stress. Now I will reduce the stress little bit, and with that now your specimen survives for 10,000 cycle. So the point will be here. Again I reduce the stress. With that it will go for 1 lakh cycle. So this is the point where with this stress, with the reduced stress, it is going for 10 days to 5 cycle. That is 1 lakh cycles. Now again reduce the stress, it will go for 10 raised to 6. That means it will go for 1 million, that is 10 lakh cycles. So the stress at which it will survive or it will not fail for minimum 10 lakh cycle, that is 1 million cycle, that stress is called as endurance limit. Are you getting it? Now it will know if you keep reducing the stress, it will your life cycle will keep on going, and it will go on infinite. So this thing we call as infinite. Actually it will fail if you reduce the stress, it will fit somewhere here, but we consider this life cycle of 10 raised to 6 or 10 lakh as the your infinite life, and that corresponding stress is called as endurance limit. Are you getting my point? So anything between 10 raised to 3 and 10 raised to 6, it is anything below 10 raised to 6 is called low cycle fatigue. Means it is failing, it is not even going for 10,000 cycles. It is called as low cycle fatigue, right? And between this whatever shown in the gram between 10 raised to 3 to 10 raised to 6 is called as high cycle fatigue. Means it is going for more than 1,000, but it is not going for infinite life. This thing is called high cycle. So we have, so this is again it is shown. So now here it is all the cycles are shown. So means 0 cycle, 1,000, 1 million and beyond. So between 0 to 10, 1,000 or 10 raised to 3, it is called as low cycle fatigue. From 10 raised to 3 to 10 raised to 6, it's called high cycle fatigue. And beyond 10 raised to 6 is called infinite life. Okay, are you getting the picture? Now, this is the complete graph. Like here we are plotting on x-axis the number of cycles with the log. We are taking log of it to make our life easier. On the y-axis we are having stress. Now if your specimen fails between 0 to 1,000, it is called as a low cycle fatigue. Between 1,000 to 10 to 6 or 10 lakh, it is called high cycle fatigue. And if it goes beyond 10 lakh, then we will call it is having a infinite life, and that corresponding limit is called as endurance limit. Are you getting it? Okay. So I tried to explain you now. Today we have seen what is endurance limit. Endurance limit is a limit, the amplitude or the stress at which your specimen will survive for infinite life without fatigue failure. That means it will survive for 10 raised to 6 cycle. That is endurance limit. Then we have seen what is fatigue life. Fatigue life means it without fatigue crack. How many cycles? So this is fatigue life. So whatever points we are trying to plot here, these are the fatigue life. For particular stress, this is the number of cycles it will survive. So or these are for the whatever I am putting plus signs here, those are the fatigue life. And once it goes beyond 10 raised to 6, this thing is called as endurance limit or infinite life. Okay, then we try to understand what is SN curve. Now, what is SN curve? SN curve is basically a plot between stress and number of cycles with a logarithmic scale, right? We put on x-axis number of cycles with the logarithmic scale, and y-axis we put stress with logarithmic scale, right? And anything below 10 raised to 3 or 1000, between 0 to 1000, we call it as low cycle fatigue. Anything between 10 raised to 3 and 10 raised to 6, we call high cycle fatigue. And beyond 10 raised to 6, we call it's infinite life. Okay, so we know now what is SN curve and what is low cycle fatigue, high cycle fatigue, and what is infinite life. So now below 10 raised to 6, it's a finite life, and above 10 raised to 6 is called as infinite life. Okay, now for what you can say, if you plot the same graph of SN against see, for some steel endurance, this is the ultimate tensile and endurance limit. Now, if we put this endurance limit, it means what? The stress or the amplitude at which having infinite life. If we put that against ultimate tensile stress, we get some these kind of points. So between there are two straight lines. These points are there, right? This is still for steel endurance limit is 30 to 35 to 60% of UTS. Okay, ultimate tensile stress. And for cast iron, it is little bit low. Endurance limit is low. It is between 23 to 63% of the. So this is how the schematic will look like. Okay, for the cast iron and for steel. And this diagram is for non-metal. Non-metal means materials which are like wood. And for those, the graph will not be like this. It will be like this. It is slowly, the more you reduce the stress, it will be more number of cycle it can survive. But it will not be a straight line. It will be a kind of parabolic curve. Okay. This is for non-metal. Okay. And this is specifically for steel kind of stuff, metal kind. And this is how it will between, if you plot endurance limit against the ultimate tensile stress, this is how it will look like. Okay, now next topic is basically endurance limit. Now we cannot keep on calculating endurance limit for different dimensions. Now this is how we will find out the endurance limit. So for that we have to if our specimen is changing a little bit in a composition, actually ready made data is available for the endurance limit. But we have to make if we make a small change in that composition, then we have to make a specimen, we have to plot SN curve, then we have to find the endurance limit, right? So it is very difficult to find out endurance limit on your own, right? So because it's a tedious task. So for that, we instead of finding exact endurance limit at which it will go for infinite life, we use something called as approximate estimation. Okay. Now this approximate estimation have basically there are four factors which we multiply your endurance limit whatever we have found, because your endurance limit will change. It will have a corrective factor because of few things. We'll talk about those in the next lecture, like what are Ka, Kb, all those things, and we'll use this for the calculation, or maybe we'll try to finish it because it's not a very big thing. So and we have time also. So we'll try to from the whatever standard calculations or standard setup we'll get what you can say a standard endurance limit. But those endurance limit needs to be modified because there are some few things this Ka is your surface factor, right? Because the more, see, now all these things we are talking about fatigue, and fatigue starts with a crack. So if your element is not properly polished, or if it is not proper, finish is not good, then it will fail earlier. And if your finish is good, it will take, let me just take attendance. Hold on. I have got a reminder that I need to take attendance, so I will take it. Okay. So that okay. Okay, so where were we? Okay, Ka. K is called, now we multiply our endurance limit, right, with four factors, four modification factors, to get the approximate estimation of the endurance limit, because your endurance limit will be affected by these factors, or like say surface factor. To have the consideration of the surface factor, this is we call take consider basically tensile strength again Brenner hardness, like this graph is there. This is a surface factor, how to get this Ka. It says here now tensile strength is plotted on the x-axis, and depending on what kind of hardness we have. Hardness is, if you see, hardness is there at the top, and different materials, like if it is machined, if it is mirror polished, it is having, say if it is mirror polished means chak chaki ekdam high polished, then it will have a factor of 1. But if it is fine grounded, commercially polished, it is not mirror polished but approximate to that, then the factor will be almost zero point 0.9. If it is machined, like on the lathe, if we machine it, it will be having small grooves which are visible under microscope. That time it starts with, if the hardness is low, if your material is soft, then it will start with zero point 0.8, and the more hardness it will come down below. For hot rolled, factor will be low. Forged, it will be more, lower. So like that, depending on what kind of the type of the manufacturing or the type of machining, your this surface factor Ka will vary. Okay, this is the graph we will use. Generally, in the exam, we will be given the Ka. The surface factor will be given. For mirror polish it is 1, otherwise is zero point 0.9, zero point 0.8. So generally it is from zero point 0.7 to zero point 0.9. Okay, so this is factor Ka. Kb is the size factor. If your diameter is less than 7.55 7.5, it is, we take Kb as 1. Between 7.5 to 50 mm, it will take 0.85, and above 0.50 mm, that is 5 centimeter, your rod becomes, or your shaft becomes very larger in diameter. So chances of failing because of the fatigue failure are high. So that's why we take, for more than 50 we take 0.75. So Kb is your size factor, so we take it as 1 for less than very small diameter shaft. For medium it is 0.85, and for above 50 it is zero point 0.7. And if it is very high, so it is, then we take it as zero point 0.6. Okay. Kc is reliability factor, means how much reliable your, what you can say, element is. So if you say it is half reliable, it might fail or it might not fail, then we will take Kc as 1. We want a reliability of 90%. No, it should fail only 1 of 10 times. Then we'll take factor of point, because with this factor we are basically making it more safe. So if we want reliability of 99%, means only one case out of 100 it will fail, then we take factor as 0.184. And if we want reliability of 99.9999, that means out of 1 lakh it will fail only once, then we will take a factor of 0.659. So Kc is reliability. So we have seen Ka is your surface factor, Kb as your size factor, Kc as reliability, and Kd is called as modifying factor. It is 1 upon Kf. We have seen Kf in the very first unit. It is for the stress concentration. It is whatever stress concentration factor we have, or it is 1 upon, that is one upon now f. Kf is called as Kd, that is modifying factor for the stress concentration. For the stress concentration, this is again modifying factor. So we will take Ka, Kb. Ka is again, we will go through that. So we'll, whatever endurance limit we have found, we will multiply that with 4 factors, because those 4 factors will affect your, what you can say, fatigue life. So because this specimen is standard, right? So the specimen you have taken is a standard specimen with all the dimension, all that. But in real life, the endurance limit will not be like this standard specimen, like it is a polished and all that, right? So to consider for real life scenario, and to find out this endurance limit, so whatever endurance limit we have found, we'll multiply that with 4 factors: Ka, Kb, Kc, Kd. K is called as surface factor depending on your surface finish, 0.7 to zero point 0.9. We'll use this graph for that. Kb is your size factor for small, medium, high, large diameter. Kc is your reliability. If you want more, very high reliability, your factor will be low. If you want 50% is okay, then we will take it as 1. And Kd is basically modifying factor for stress concentration. Stress concentration, it is 1 upon Kf. So we now will use these factors and we will multiply those factors with your endurance limit to get the approximate. This is called as approximate estimation of the endurance limit. So in exam, you will be given these factors. Sometimes this kb is not given and diameter is given. So we'll depending on the diameter we'll find out kb, and then we'll using this we'll find out this approximate estimation or the approximate endurance limit. Okay, so this is not we'll take an example of this in the next lecture. I will take a numerical of this endurance limit and also approximate estimation of endurance limit. Okay, what is high and low cycle fatigue? We talked about it. High and low cycle fatigue, we'll talk about it in the next lecture also, because I want to have more understanding of it, because now we will be going through something called as lines, different lines, and to understand that we need to know this. So again I will go through that in the next lecture. But for today's lecture, we have seen what is endurance limit, what is fatigue life, okay, how to do the testing or why fatigue happens, then how to do the testing, how to prepare a specimen, and how to do the testing, how to find out of endurance limit or fatigue life, like life for infinite number of cycles, and that limit is called the endurance limit. Then we have seen what is SN curves, and then at the end we have seen approximate estimation of endurance limit. So I think we have one more minute. Anybody has any doubt, you can ask me. In next lecture, we will continue with the what you can say a numerical of this endurance limit. So I'm giving you, ask time to ask. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. You can put that in the chat also, no problem. Okay. Otherwise, we'll conclude today's lecture, and next time I will take a numerical on the endurance limit. Okay. If you have any, if you don't have any doubt, you guys can leave. If you have doubt, I'm just keeping the window open for another few seconds, so that people can ask me.